Which team won the draft?
Well, the Spurs won the draft, and they won the draft on May 16th in Chicago when they were awarded the number 1 pick. There is a difference, and we talked about this last night during the draft. There's a difference between hype and the actual prospect. And while we can talk about the hype with Wembanyama, the reality is this kid at 19 years old went to an historically bad club, the Mets 92. He set up a team, coaching staff, all that stuff so that he could learn the responsibility, which is not very common in Europe, of a young player getting to be the guy prior to the draft. He led one of the top leagues in the world in points, rebounds, blocks, second best record in the regular season, took them to the championship round. The team that beat them in the championship round had 7 former NBA players on the roster. His last game, he goes for 22-7. Like, he is generational. There's no question. All the players drafted after. There's a lot of kids that I really like. Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson, I think, are potentially franchise players. There's a difference between that and Wembanyama. So we can talk about, there's a bunch of teams. Like, I love the Jazz draft.
Yeah.
I love the Pacers draft. Houston, in particular, had a phenomenal night. You think about all the mock drafts leading up to this. Amen Thompson, generally considered to be the 4th best prospect there at number 4 to Houston. I saw for weeks, months, whatever, Cam Whitmore is 5. Mm-hmm. Cam Whitmore drops, whether it's concerns about his interviews, medical, whatever. He's a lottery top 5, top 7 talent, and you end up getting him with the 20th pick. Houston also had a great draft. There's a lot of teams that had great drafts. Those are my 3 favorite outside the Spurs, but the Spurs won the draft because they got Wembanyama.
Well, I didn't pick the Spurs because to me that was obvious, and I didn't want to be obvious. Jay. I mean, you got a dude that's 7'5" that makes J.J. Redick, look like a small man. Let's not even get in how he made me look standing next to him yesterday. They had.
Can I tell the story real quick?
Please,
yeah.
please.
Can I tell the story?
Please, I was going to ask you to do it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I'm walking on set last night, right? We're getting ready to do the draft preview show, and I'm walking through Barclays, and there's some monitors there. And I'm walking by, and I see Stephen A. has got his pink suit on. Yep. Beautiful suit, by the way. Pink suit on. And there's a guy on the monitor, but I can't see his face. They couldn't get the two of them in the same frame.
Yeah.
That's how small.
And Stephen A's over 6 feet tall.
Is he?
Yeah.
I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
I'm 6'1". And you're 6'4"?
Yeah.
And you saw how small you looked standing next to him.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you looked even smaller.
It was bad.
You look like a miniature Stephen A.
Mini me, right?
Yeah.
It's true. It's absolutely true. Listen, I didn't pick Wembanyama because, generational player. You talk about people, I saw guys, Woj on Get Up earlier this morning talk about the potential for him to be an all-NBA player as a rookie. It's only happened twice, and that's with the 2 number 1 picks for the San Antonio Spurs, David Robinson in 87 and Tim Duncan in 97. So we get the potential of Wembanyama. To me, it's just me. I love the fact that Jordan and the Hornets picked Brandon Miller. Mm-hmm. I just do. Because, to me, and Coach, you know this a hell of a lot better than me, but I'm looking at him, and I don't see some just a small forward. I see a dude that can easily play 2 guard in the NBA. I saw him score off the dribble. I saw him pulling up for 3. I saw him in the open court. I'm looking at him at 6'9", and I'm saying, excuse me, I don't want Scoot Henderson in that situation. Scoot Henderson gets drafted by Charlotte. Basically what you're saying is that we're expecting LaMelo Ball to ask out of Charlotte quick, fast, and in a hurry. That, to me, would not have made any sense. But with Miller there, and they're talking about Bridges coming back, excuse me, they can play together. Bridges and Miller can play together. Bridges, Miller, and Melo can play. LaMelo, they can play together. And so I loved the fact that you got him there with LaMelo Ball and with Miles Bridges. I just said to myself, I'm looking at Brandon Miller right now, man, and I guess we know what he's going through, the poor decision that he made and what have you. But I remember him stepping on the court with that level of adversity, with people acting like, chanting, lock him up, and stuff like that. And he dropped 41 on them and was like, let's go. Let's bring it. And you think about that kind of attitude that you have to have. I say he's got a little something extra in him. And I'm looking at Scoot Henderson, and I'm like, I love him. But 6'2" or 6'9", who you going with? I'm going with the 6'9" brother who's versatile enough to play the 2 or the 3. And that's what I think Charlotte did, and that's why I felt that was the way to go.
I'm really disappointed in you two guys. Right? First of all, because you basically kind of agreed with him. And that's not supposed to happen here. because you said, oh, we're not going to talk about Victor because, Victor was just the easy choice. So I'm a little disappointed in that.
Right.
I kind of agree with you in terms of Stephen A. You didn't even mention Nick Smith. Nick Smith, preseason, top 2, top 3, top 5 player.
You're right.
All right, big time 6'4" shot maker. Okay. You put him with Brandon Miller, who, by the way, was a high school point guard. You talk about his ball skills, put him in ball screens, middle game, 40% three-point shooter. Paul George, I say even KD a little bit at 6'9", not 6'10", but 6'9", 7 wingspan, mid-post, 3, ball screens, rebounds the heck out of the ball. Charlotte, probably their best draft in a long time. One team on the outside who really helped himself, though, was Dallas.
Yeah.
Omac, they needed someone who could defend and protect the rim. Derek Lively is going to be an NBA All-Star.
Right.
I really believe that. And to get Lively and Omac, those two guys are going to help the pieces that they need. You talk about fit, those two guys are fit. But I thought you guys were supposed to disagree all the time.
Yes. Well,
disappointed.
Lively, I mean, that was an obvious pick by Dallas.
Stick around, Seth.
Stick around. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. But Dallas had to pick somebody.
Kumbaya right now.
Dallas hasn't played defense since February.
Well, since they lost Dorian Finney-Smith.
Can Lillard coexist with Scoot on the Blazers?
No. And I don't mean that literally from the standpoint that he can't, because obviously he could if they were committed to doing so. I don't believe he should be committed to doing so. And so, again, that formulas, because I know you're so literal and you want to make sure that we're clear about the question that's being asked. I don't like the way this question was asked because I'm not trying to say he can't. I'm trying to say he shouldn't and he won't.
It's a word salad.
As far as I'm concerned,
I apologize. I didn't give you the right question.
As far as I'm concerned, here's the bottom line. Last night, when the Blazers drafted Scoot Henderson, it's the perfect excuse to move on from the Damian Lillard era. I'm not talking about it as an organization. I'm talking about Dillard saying, I want up out of here. You got the future of the franchise. Henderson is going to be a baller. I've got nothing but faith in this brother. He's got a big-time mid-range game. I think stepping away from the basket. They talked about how he needed to improve upon that, but he's strong at 6'2", got an NBA body already. Nobody is questioning his athleticism, his strength, what he's going to do on this level. That's why he's a top 3 pick. Major props to him. Major props to the Blazers for picking him. But you're not going anywhere for the foreseeable future if you are the Blazers. You're not a part of the championship equation. And I'm going to sound like a broken record here because I can't count the amount of times that I've said over the last few years. Damian Lillard needs to want out of Portland. He needs to move on. Of course, the Blazers organization doesn't want to lose him. He's great. 32 years of age, just finished averaging 32 points, a pillar of the community. He's deified in the Portland area. You know that people walk through the turnstiles just to see him play. He's not only an elite player, he's good for business, okay? Because he's ingratiated himself with that community that well. But from a strictly basketball perspective, you are not a part of the championship equation. You stayed there just long enough for them to get what I think will probably be a perfect successor to him. Live with that and move on, Damian Lillard. My answer is no.
My answer is yes, they can coexist together. But I want to say this first. It's not a perfect fit. Damian Lillard is going to have the ball in his hands. And look, Damian can play off the ball, but the reality is he's at his best in pick and roll. He's always 90th percentile in pick and roll. He's at his best in isolation. He's always 90th percentile in isolation. And Scoot, where he is right now in his career, he's not a great shooter. And his ability to play off the ball, I think, hampers his development. Because to me, Scoot Henderson is the guy you want to put the ball in his hands from day one. You want to allow him to develop, to learn, to grow through mistakes. I don't even think he has to become a great shooter to end up being an all-NBA player. Think about this. Derrick Rose, prime Derrick Rose, Ja Morant, Russell Westbrook. These guys were all NBA players. A couple of them were MVPs without ever having a reliable jump shot. But to get to that point, you have to put the ball in Scoot Henderson's hands. And I just don't think initially it's the right thing. Now, defensively, he's going to help the Blazers. They were the third worst defense last year. They put a priority at all the guys they drafted last night, defensive-minded players. He's going to help there. That's why I think he can play a little bit alongside Dame. Dame can play a little bit off the ball. Again, it's not a perfect fit, but I do think they can coexist together. And on the Blazers and the talk about getting Dame traded, look, the Blazers aren't done. To me, they have emphasized we believe we can build around Dame. It's not too late. Anthony Simons, Nurkic, those two guys come to mind. If you can get back some valuable pieces, maybe package those guys together, a pick, whatever it may be, a future pick, maybe you can get a third guy to go along with Scoot, to go along with Dame. You bring back Jeremy Grant. Is that a championship team? I still don't think I still don't think it is, but you're certainly moving towards the direction of being a top 6 team and being a playoff team.
Well, I think top 6 is too high. Me personally, I just do that. I mean, again,
Well, right now, Stephen A., right now I agree with you. Right now I agree with you.
Let's let Legs get in.
Sure, no problem. I'm sorry. I didn't know Legs was there. My bad, Legs.
So I'm gonna actually combine the two answers a little bit here. First of all, let's go with JJ. I agree. I think they can play together, and I actually think if you look at the pairing that Lillard had with C.J. McCollum and a lot of success those two guys had together. C.J. McCollum, while he is certainly a better shooter than Scoot Henderson is right now, C.J. McCollum wasn't a catch and shoot guy. C.J. McCollum was the guy that Lillard comes off one side, ball screen, nothing there. Let's swing it to the other side. C.J. McCollum liked to put it down on the floor and get into a rhythm first before he shoots it. So I think the two guys that need the ball, that have this kind of offensive talent, absolutely can coexist together because I think both guys have the IQ for that to figure it out. And you talk about difficult covers. I think Scoot Henderson immediately is going to put up numbers in this league. I think he's that special. I think he's headed for superstardom down the road. But here's the part that I'm talking about where I agree with Stephen A. a little bit. And I'm glad you clarified your approach to the answer, Stephen A. When you said no, it's because you think Lillard should want out. And the bottom line is this. They're not going to contend anytime soon, and I do not think they are a top 6 team. I think this is more like a play-in type of team, and at some point, Damian Lillard has to look around and say, I'm a little bit tired of my peers and guys that are on my level playing deep into the postseason, and I am, again, not going to have that opportunity anytime soon. And when does that finally sink in where he goes to them and says, you know what, it's time. I did everything I could for this franchise, but it is time. I want to have an opportunity to go play for a championship because I don't think that's going to be in Portland in the next couple of years.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.